Hello, this is Michael and Zachary of Casa Guerra doing a special installment of Devil's Advocate for the Lion King 2019 remake.
Ugh. It sucked.
Yeah, I didn't like the movie either. The point of this is for me to present, even if I don't agree with it, some things to consider that the remake does better. Forgive me for this sacrilegious statement. What the remake does better than the original Lion King.
Which is nothing.
For the first point, I am going to talk about how the remake approaches the execution of the villain known as Scar. So, in the original Lion King, Scar is a villain because they said so. He's a bad guy who already had this plan in place with the hyenas, and he sends Simba out to the infant graveyard, already trying to do his evil scheme, and then he does it again in the little canyon where they do the stampede. It's pretty much a bad guy because they said so. But in the remake, they actually give Scar a little bit more of a flesh-out treatment. He, on the spur of a moment, tries to get Simba accidentally killed. But he hasn't really talked with the hyenas yet. And when he brings them back to do the stampede, he doesn't just tell Simba, your father's got a surprise for you. You should just wait here. That's not suspicious at all. And they also just give him some more menace to him. Like when Mufasa's dead, instead of, Simba, what have you done? It's, Simba, what have you done? Like, holy crap, you killed your dad! Like, they make Scar more believably a good villain, and not just, oh, he's a villain and gets away with all this stuff easily. Like, they give him more planning.
Back then, the standard for movies was not make a 2-hour long movie. So that is like a lot of extra time that wasn't necessary. And simplicity is such a beautiful thing, and the fact that, like, they just tell you, yeah, he's the villain. He wants to be on the throne because he's the younger brother and he didn't get to be on the throne. You don't need more information than that. Like in the original Lion King, it felt more methodical and planned out when he sent him there because it wasn't like a spur of the moment, oh, you made me mad. It actually felt like this guy's been trying to get to the throne for a while and now he has an opportunity. Whereas before, it's just like, oh, Simba made me mad, so I'm going to kill him because I'm not a nice guy. So I don't think that that's better. Is it interesting? Yes. Is it better? No. I think it kind of affects the flow of the entire movie when they did it in such a way. And that's just my take on it.
Second point, we're going to talk about the jungle and as Timon and Pumbaa are living in it. In the original, it's just Timon and Pumbaa, and there's no atmosphere to it besides how lush the jungle looks. This movie, which I think is the biggest reason why I don't like the movie, is its flaw is it tries to be very realistic to a fault. And the jungle doesn't look as beautiful in this one as it does, but what it does do better is add more residence to the jungle. So instead of Timon and Pumbaa having this vast jungle by himself, it's a vast jungle that Timon and Pumbaa live in, and there are other grub-eating animals there too, that Simba now has to, play nice with when he starts living in the jungle. I thought that was way better than the original, and it's gonna feel really weird to me whenever I watch the original again, how much emptiness there is in this jungle and how they're for some reason the only ones that live there and there's no one else there. So I thought the remake was more conscious of that awkwardness and improved on the original in that sense.
And the problem with your point is that there's a beauty, especially in a movie that's intended for families with young children, in simplicity. You don't need to try and hash out all these details because it's not important to the story. Yeah, it's like an interesting tidbit, but it's only interesting because you've seen the original first. Like, if you're going to have the movie stand on their own merits, that's not a big deal. And it's not a big deal in the original either. So it's not even done better, it's just done different. And in my opinion, it's actually better to make it more simple so you can focus on the actual, plot points and character developments of the characters that matter in the movie. Like, you don't even know, any of the characters, do you remember any of the other animals' names that were living in the jungle with Timon and Pumbaa?
I remember what I think was...
I know one of them is named, the deer he talks to or whatever.
Yeah, the deer that Simba tries to be friends with and runs away.
I don't remember his name because he doesn't matter. He doesn't matter, and it's just unnecessary screen time for like no payoff.
The payoff is that it feels more natural. It's more
It's a
comfortable.
movie about talking animals, and I think the fact that they're not there improves upon the original because it feels like a private paradise for them and more like he's actually running away from his responsibilities and stuff. But and like having all these people there, it made the scenes feel more awkward, not more fleshed out.
Nala's escape. Having that scene, I think, really added more to what the original didn't do because of the time constraints back in the day of trying to make it an hour and a half, hour 45. They were trying to keep the movie, short. They probably had that in mind of showing her escaping and why she was leaving, but instead they crammed that whole scene into a 5-second comment of why she escaped and found Simba in the jungle. I thought it was very cool to show her try to escape that and show the tension of how bad things were in relations between the lionesses and Scar before she tries to decide and escape.
The problem with this thing is like it may have been an interesting scene in the new movie, but when you compare it to the old one, it's just not necessary. It's
not necessary is not a good argument.
Let me finish. It's not necessary. The amount of information that they give in that 5-second comment you're complaining about is fine, and they address it more right before they fight Scar and stuff. And it's not needed. Like when he goes like, "I'm the king now," and then he smacks Sarabi. That is enough context that you need for the tension between Scar and the lionesses. It's just more. It's padding to make the movie 2 hours, not necessary information that they had to take out to make the movie shorter from the original. And I didn't feel like that the scene added much impact anyway. It was just kind of like there. Like I looked at it and I'm like, huh, she escaped. Cool. I already knew that.
Hans Zimmer's scoring. Hans Zimmer had way more experience in this movie than he did when he made the score for The Lion King in the 90s. So he improved on an already perfect soundtrack and just, made it more quality, made it more full, it felt. Especially certain tracks, they felt like they had more involved in the recording of the soundtrack to make it sound more fulfilling, more lifelike. If you listen to the Hans Zimmer score from the original and then right after listen to the new one, they aren't really the same soundtrack. A lot of the tracks from the major parts of the movie are still somewhat the same, but he even takes in a new technique that you see a lot more in movies for composers that are more experienced, where they make sure that there's a running theme appearing in each part of the movie. So it's kind of like I don't know, for lack of better words, a jingle. The little jingle of the King of Pride rock sound keeps showing up. It shows up in the Stampede. It shows up when they mourn Simba. It shows up in the jungle when he's looking up to his dad in the clouds. Like that theme recurs instead of just hearing it in 2 parts of the movie, the beginning and then the end when he takes back the Pride Rock. You hear it throughout because that's how composers like to, lay on thicker for the audience the tone, the theme of the movie. So Hans Zimmer with his experience improves on the original soundtrack.
Let us know in the comments whether you agree with this guy's cheating argument statement.
It's not cheating. It's better than the original.
Let us know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with this young man.
I'm older than him. Thanks for watching this video of the Devil's Advocate arguments for The Lion King 2019 being better than the original Lion King. Let us know in the comments what Devil's Advocate arguments we didn't make, why we're tripping.
What other things they ruined in the movie. Just rant.
Yeah.
Just full on rant in the comments.
Ranting welcome of why you don't like the movie.
Yeah,
this
is a place to vent.
We're also welcoming Devil's Advocates.
Yeah, feel free to also make all the people ranting really mad that you like the movie in the comments.
Trigger warning. Like this video if you did, and helps us out a lot. Share it with your friends so that way they can join in on the discussion. And feel free to subscribe so you can see more content coming your way.
Don't feel free to subscribe. Just subscribe. whether you want to or not.
Hakuna Matata, and thanks for watching. Let me know if you want to be a little more, objective.
Let us know if you want to agree with, the entirety of the universe.
Actually, Rotten Tomatoes shows that the audience really liked this compared to the critics. We're more in line with the critics on this one, and the audience score, we're actually not really...
Okay, allow me to rephrase that. Let us know if you want to agree with the sheep, or if you want to agree with the intellectuals.
Alright, before I hit point number 2, I just want to reiterate, I do not like this movie.
Allow me to, before we move on to the next point, to say, I also do like this movie. I like it even less than him.